Proper bond placement.
So what I've noticed is most education about hair extensions starts in the very bottom in the back of the head and run the rows of extensions up the back. I've found putting the top row in first will give you greater success. And what I've done is shaved a couple of mannequin heads and drawn some patterns on with a Sharpie so I can show you how I put them in, starting with the perimeter first, drawing the picture before I start to fill it in. So here we have Bridget, a mannequin head I've shaved for you to see and get a little illustration. I would consider a side part an asymmetrical style. Most people just consider it symmetrical because we're so used to seeing side parts. But truly, it's a little off to the side, so the top row of extensions should be a little higher on the side that the hair is not parted on. So what that does is gives a little less space on this side and a little more space on this side to fill in later. But what I find is when you do this top row of extensions following the same curve as a hairline, following that same curve up here, gives you enough distance away from the crown, but also away from the part for that top row. A couple of other things that does is when you bring that top row up very high, you have less hair for the client to fall over the top for a weight line you have to blend, so it helps with the cutting. But also, the top row is the most important row of extensions for color blending. That's where the client's color and the ends, which may be faded a little bit, touch the top row of extensions. Where that touches, you may have needed to pepper in a couple of blonde or lighter brown or dark pieces to make the color blend better. So use them now instead of starting in the very bottom, running your rows up the back, running out of your highlight or low light pieces that you may have needed on the top. And then do the very bottom row next. What that does is it gives you a full perimeter done. Top row, bottom row, perimeter done, and then we're gonna fill it in. Then what we're gonna do is do the sides and then the back. And I have another mannequin to show you for that. So here I brought in another mannequin to show you. Still have the top row and bottom row put in there all the way around in black. But then I've done in a reddish orange color the other most common patterns for me. What I'll do on the side that we part on is put one more row of extensions in the middle between the top and bottom row. And then on the other side, I'll have a top and bottom row in between the top and bottom row. So I end up with one more on this side. If I were to put 2 rows in between here, I would have done 3 on this side. Or fine-haired clients, possibly nothing in the middle here, and then I would just have 1 in the middle here. So the rule is 1 more row of extensions in between the top and bottom on the thicker side of hair. And then I evaluate how much hair do I have left and make it work in the back. This is very common for me, 2 or 3 rows of extensions solid across the back. I realize some people put a little bit of space in between their bonds as they put them in. That's fine. There are no rules in hair extensions. This is just what works well for me.
Advanced bond placement.
Today we're going to talk about how I do a full head of hair extensions. It's my way based on some of the other placement patterns you may see in some of the other videos. I believe you should start with that top row first. That top row is curved to match the curve of the hairline. And then the same thing with the bottom row. I believe you should do the second row at the bottom, or the bottom row as your second row. So top, then bottom, all the way around the head. Many people think I'm just talking about staying in the back. And if you'll notice, this is a left part over her left eye, which is asymmetrical. Most people don't think of a part as asymmetrical, but the spacing from the part is where that top row is on both sides. So what that does is it leaves less space between the top row and bottom row here compared to the side that the part is not on between the top and the bottom row. So that's going to play into something when we get in the middle here for filling in. But if you'll just do that top and bottom row first following the hairline, that will be the most difficult thing to do throughout the day. It all gets easier after that because we won't have all these fancy curves anymore. So then I'm going to grab this other mannequin here, see if I can switch them, and show you. I didn't draw hair on the top of her head, but you still got that top row, bottom row. Filling in the sides, I believe, is the most important next. Now, on the average head of hair thickness, length, I end up with 1 solid row on this side, and if I do 1 there, I put 2 on this side. Now, on somebody with finer, thinner hair, smaller head maybe, this top and bottom row might be closer together or so fine and thin, you don't need a row in the middle here of any hair at all. Keep in mind, I'm also putting the hairs right next to each other, and I'll cover that in a second. But on that other side, if I did the 1 on the left side, I would put 2 here. But again, remember how I said maybe I'd put none on this side? If I did 0 here, I would do 1 here. So basically, I'm always putting 1 more in the middle here. So 1 and 2, most commonly, sometimes 0 and 1. Or on very thick, coarse hair with a larger head, maybe a lot of hair on the head, I might actually put 2 rows here and then 3 in here. And that would also correspond with how much hair should I order, that you also can go back and watch another video. You would need more than the average amount of hair of 150 strands. You might need 170 to 180 strands if you go with more than 1 or 2. And then the least important part of the head is this back section. So I do it last. The client really cares about how that hair falls around her face, and that's why those sides are much more important. Then when you go into the back, you can do a few different things. This is my most basic placement pattern, and I do this most of the time, 3 rows. So basically for me, it's a 1, 2, 3 after I've done the top and bottom row all the way around. But sometimes on maybe thinner, finer hair, I might do something just a little bit different. Maybe do a checkerboard pattern where I'll put a little bit of space between there. You can get as creative as you like in this back area. You can also do a checkerboard pattern on the sides if you like. I'm saying be creative, but the way I do it is at top row, bottom row, 1 row, 2 row, 3 rows in the back, and I'm done most of the time. So hope that helps you guys, and get as creative as you want. Watch those other videos. Thanks for watching.